Some calls stay with you not because of what was said, but because of how it was said. I'm Olivia Crane, and I've been a 911 dispatcher for the Burlington Police Department for 9 years. I work the overnight shift, midnight to 8 a.m., handling calls from across Chittenden County when most people are asleep, and the city settles into an uneasy quiet. Vermont winters are long and dark, and by February, the night shift feels like it stretches on forever. You get used to the silence between calls, the hum of the equipment, the blue glow of multiple screens tracking units across the county. Burlington sits on the eastern shore of Lake Champlain, a college town that swells with students during the academic year and empties out during breaks. The downtown is a mix of historic brick buildings and newer construction, with the university campus spreading across the hill overlooking the lake. Most of my calls are routine drunk students needing medical attention, domestic disputes in the Old North End, occasional car accidents on the icy roads that wind through the surrounding towns. I share the dispatch center with 2 other dispatchers on night shift, but we each handle our own calls, our own screens, our own little territories of crisis management. The work requires a particular mindset. You have to stay calm when the person on the other end is panicking. You have to extract clear information from chaos. You have to send help to the right place while keeping someone alive over the phone, talking them through CPR, or telling them to apply pressure to a wound, or convincing them not to go back inside a burning building. After 9 years, I thought I'd heard everything. The call came in at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, in late February of 2024. The address showed 156 Prospect Street, Hill Section. I answered with my standard greeting, 911, what's your emergency? Someone's in my house. The voice was young, female, breathless with fear. I heard them downstairs. I locked myself in the bathroom, but I can hear them moving around. What's your name? Bethany. Bethany Lockwood. Bethany, I'm Olivia. I'm sending officers to you right now. Where are you in the house? Second floor bathroom. The door locks. Her voice trembled, but the words were clear. I heard breaking glass. I just ran. Officer Trevor Nash was dispatched. Response time, 4 minutes. Stay on the line with me. Don't hang up. Okay. Her breathing was rapid. I can still hear them downstairs. For the first few minutes, everything proceeded normally. Bethany described hearing footsteps, doors opening. I kept her talking, tracked the officer's progress. Then around minute 6, something changed in her voice. A slight roughness at first, as if she was getting hoarse, but it kept progressing. By minute 8, she sounded like she had a cold. By minute 10, there was a rasp I couldn't account for. Bethany, are you okay? You sound different. I'm scared, she said, but the voice seemed older than the one that had first called, like she'd aged 5 years in 5 minutes. The officers are almost there. They're coming upstairs. Her voice sounded different, older, weary. I can hear them on the stairs. Nash was 30 seconds out. Bethany, the police are pulling up right now. Her breathing had changed, shallower, more labored. When she spoke again, I felt cold spread through my chest. I don't understand what's happening. The voice of a middle-aged woman now. Where am I? You're in your bathroom, Bethany. The police are at your house. Who's Bethany? Older still, querulous. I can't remember. By minute 14, she sounded elderly. Hello? Thin, fragile, confused. Is someone there? Bethany, I'm here. This is 911. You're safe. I don't know where I am. It's dark. Nash radioed in. Dispatch, we're inside. No forced entry. No intruder. Place is secure. Unit 12. The caller is in the second floor bathroom. Copy. I heard his footsteps through her phone, then his voice, Police, Miss Lockwood, we're here. But Bethany didn't respond to him. She was still talking to me, her voice barely a whisper now. I'm so tired. I don't remember. calling anyone. You called 911, Bethany. I haven't used a phone in such a long time. Nash came back over radio. Dispatch, we've checked the bathroom. Nobody here. Searching the house. The call duration climbed past 16 minutes. I could hear her breathing so shallow, so labored. Bethany, can you hear me? Is it morning yet? Ancient now, barely comprehensible. I'd like to see the morning. Then, silence, except for breathing like wind through dry leaves. Unit 12. The caller is still on the line with me. She has to be in that house. Nash came back, and I could hear the unease in his voice. Dispatch, we've cleared the entire residence. No one is here. The place looks like it hasn't been lived in for months. Dust everywhere. No furniture in most rooms. My supervisor, Denise Hargrove, had moved to my station, listening in on her own headset. She looked at me with concern, then keyed into the channel. Unit 12. What's the status of the phone line? Can you locate the origin of the call inside the residence? Checking now. I kept the line open, listening to the terrible breathing on the other end. At minute 17, even that began to fade. The elderly voice had gone silent. All I could hear was the faintest whisper of breath, growing weaker. Bethany, stay with me, please. Nash's voice crackled back, and there was something in his tone I'd never heard before. Fear. Dispatch, we found something. You need to send an ambulance to Eastview Care Center on North Avenue. We need medical and possibly a supervisor. And Olivia, I need you to check your address again. Where did you say this call was coming from? 156 Prospect Street. That's what the system shows. That's what I thought. A pause. Olivia, there is no phone line active at this address. The phone company shows service was disconnected 3 years ago, when the property was converted to storage. But we found something else. Another pause, longer this time. There's a name carved into the bathroom door frame. Old carving, looks like it's been there for years. It says Bethany Lockwood, 1987. The breathing on my line stopped completely. The call timer hit 18 minutes and 12 seconds. Then the line went dead. My screen showed the call had terminated from the caller's end, but that was impossible. There was no caller. There was no phone. The ambulance reached Eastview Care Center 4 minutes later. Officer Nash met them in the lobby and led them to room 237 on the second floor. Bethany Lockwood was 86 years old. She'd been a resident of Eastview for 6 years, ever since a stroke left her in what the doctors called a persistent vegetative state. She had no family, no visitors. The nurses checked on her regularly, turned her to prevent bed sores, provided nutrition through a feeding tube. When the paramedics entered her room that night, they found her lying peacefully in bed, exactly as she'd been for the past 6 years. But clutched in her right hand was an old rotary phone, cream-colored plastic yellowed with age, the cord trailing off into nothing. The nurse on duty swore the phone hadn't been there during evening rounds. There was no phone jack in the room, no way for it to connect to anything. But the receiver was warm, and when they pried Bethany's fingers open to remove it, they found her hand was still trembling, as if she'd just ended a conversation. Bethany Lockwood died 3 hours later at 5:51 a.m. Natural causes, the doctors said. She'd simply let go after years of holding on. I pulled her records the next day. In 1987, Bethany had lived at 156 Prospect Street while attending university. She'd reported a home invasion that February. She'd called 911 from her bathroom, the call lasting 18 minutes before police arrived. The call recording no longer existed, but the dispatcher's notes remained. The dispatcher noted the caller had become increasingly confused and disoriented, that by the end she didn't seem to remember why she'd called. The dispatcher's name was at the bottom. Trainee, first month on the job. Denise Hargrove, my supervisor. I tried talking to Denise about it, but she claimed not to remember. Hundreds of calls that year, she said. But I saw the way her hand trembled when she filed the report. The official explanation was a technical glitch, crosstalk from old phone lines. The phone in Bethany's hand was written off as confused staff misremembering. But I saved the audio. Sometimes late at night I listen to it. I hear the voice aging, decade by decade, until it becomes the whisper of someone waiting a lifetime to finish a conversation. I think about Bethany in 1987, scared in that bathroom. I think about her in that nursing home bed, trapped, waiting. Waiting for what? To complete the call? To hear someone say help was coming? I don't work night shift anymore, but sometimes I wonder if calls can echo through time, if fear can create loops that trap us. Bethany made it out in 1987. The officers arrived. She lived her whole life. But part of her never left. Part of her stayed on the line, aging in real time, waiting for someone to tell her it was finally morning. Some searches end exactly where they were never supposed to begin. I'm Iris Delgado, and I've been a 911 dispatcher for Bernalillo County in New Mexico for 4 years. I work out of the Regional Dispatch Center in Albuquerque, handling emergency calls from across the county, which includes everything from the dense urban sprawl of the city to the empty high desert terrain that stretches east into the Sandia Mountains. The Sandias rise abruptly from the Rio Grande Valley, a wall of pink granite and juniper that climbs to over 10,000 feet. In winter, the peaks are dusted with snow. In summer, the lower elevations bake under a relentless Sunday. Most of my hiking emergency calls are routine dehydration, twisted ankles, people who underestimate the elevation and the heat. We work closely with the Albuquerque Mountain Rescue Council, a volunteer search and rescue team that knows every trail and canyon in the range. The lead coordinator is Floyd Winters, a retired fire captain who's been running mountain rescues for 20 years. He's pulled lost hikers off cliffs, out of slot canyons, and from trail systems where people wandered off path and couldn't find their way back. I handle calls with a calm efficiency that comes from repetition. Enter the information, coordinate with SAR, track their progress, keep the caller calm if they're still on the line. Most emergencies resolve within a few hours. People are found, brought down safely, reminded to carry more water next time. But on a Tuesday afternoon, in late September of 2024, I received a call that didn't follow any pattern I recognized. The call came in at 3:17 p.m. from a cell phone with a 505 area code. 911. What's your emergency? I'm lost. Male voice. Young, breathing hard. I've been hiking the La Luz Trail and I think I took a wrong turn. I can't find the main path. Okay, stay calm. What's your name? Cameron. Cameron Bright. Cameron, I'm Iris. Can you tell me where you started your hike? The trailhead off Forest Road, 333. I've been hiking for maybe 3 hours. I thought I was following the trail markers, but everything looks the same now. Standard lost hiker call. I pulled up the mapping system on my screen. Cameron, does your phone have GPS enabled? Yeah, I think so. Good. I'm going to pull your coordinates now. Stay on the line with me. The system took a few seconds to ping his location. When the coordinates populated, they showed him about 4 miles up the La Luz Trail, which made sense given his timeline. The area was steep, rocky terrain, with plenty of side paths and drainage channels that could confuse someone unfamiliar with the mountains. Okay, Cameron, I have your location. I'm contacting search and rescue now. They'll come find you. How's your water supply? I have maybe half a bottle left, and it's getting cold up here. The team will reach you soon. Just stay where you are and keep your phone on. I radioed Floyd Winters and gave him Cameron's coordinates. He confirmed his team could be on site within 45 minutes. Standard rescue. I updated my log and returned to monitoring other calls. Then, about 10 minutes later, I refreshed Cameron's GPS coordinates to send an update to Floyd. The numbers had changed. According to GPS, that's exactly where he is. Not by much. But the coordinates now showed Cameron 200 meters west of where he'd been 10 minutes earlier. I stared at the screen, confused. Had he moved? I keyed back into his line. Cameron, are you still there? Yeah, I'm here. I haven't moved. You told me to stay put. Have you walked anywhere in the last few minutes? Even a short distance? No. I've been sitting on a rock this whole time. I checked the coordinates again. The system showed his current location clearly 200 meters west of the original ping. I radioed Floyd. Sarlead, this is dispatch. Be advised, the hiker's coordinates have shifted. Sending you updated location now. Floyd's voice came back with mild confusion. Copy that. Subject moved west? He says he hasn't moved. A pause. Okay, we'll adjust our approach vector. I kept the line open with Cameron, asking him to describe his surroundings, juniper trees, red rock formations, a steep slope dropping off to his north, all consistent with the area. But when I refreshed his coordinates again 15 minutes later, they had shifted another 200 meters west. Cameron, I need you to be honest with me. Are you walking? I swear I'm not moving. I'm exactly where I was when I called you. His voice carried an edge of frustration now. Why do you keep asking me that? I didn't answer. I was staring at my screen, watching the GPS marker that represented Cameron Bright sitting in a location that was now 600 meters west of where he'd originally called from. Wendy Cho, our technical support specialist, had come over to my station. What's going on? She asked. GPS anomaly. The coordinates keep shifting west, but the caller insists he's stationary. Wendy leaned over my shoulder, frowning at the screen. That's not normal. Could be a system glitch. Let me check the back end. She moved to her terminal and started running diagnostics. I updated Floyd again with the new coordinates. Dispatch, we're approaching the original location now. Floyd's voice was steady, but I could hear the exertion of the climb. No visual on the subject yet. Be advised, his GPS shows he's now approximately 600 meters west of the original coordinates. 600 meters? Floyd sounded skeptical now. In 30 minutes? That's what the system shows. We'll head west and see what we find. Over the next 2 hours, Cameron's coordinates continued to shift westward in exact 200-meter increments every 15 to 20 minutes. Each time I refreshed the system, the GPS marker moved, and each time, Cameron insisted he hadn't taken a single step. Wendy ran every diagnostic she could think of. The system's functioning normally, she said, frustration evident in her voice. There's no technical explanation for this. The GPS pings are clean. The cell tower triangulation is consistent. According to every metric I can measure, his phone is actually moving. But Cameron's voice remained constant, tired, increasingly scared but adamant. I'm not moving. I can see the same 3 juniper trees I've been staring at for the past 2 hours. The same rock formation. I haven't moved. Floyd and his team had been following the shifting coordinates, and each location they reached showed the same thing. Fresh boot prints. Single set, consistent tread pattern, matching the hiking boots Cameron had described wearing. But no, Cameron. Dispatch, this doesn't make sense. Floyd was breathing hard now, his team having covered over 2 miles of rough terrain, chasing a signal that kept moving away from them. We keep finding his tracks, but they just stop. Then we get to the next coordinates and find more tracks starting up again. Are they the same tracks? Could he be circling? No, they're definitely progressing west, but it's like he's teleporting 200 meters at a time. I felt a chill despite the warm dispatch center. Cameron, can you describe what you see right now? Same as before. Rock, juniper, slope. Wait. His voice changed, became uncertain. There's something ahead of me. Looks like a dark opening in the rocks. A cave, maybe? My screen refreshed. His coordinates had jumped again, and this time, when I cross-referenced the location with the topographic map, my stomach dropped. Floyd, hold position. Do not proceed to the next coordinates. Why? What's wrong? I pulled up the historical data on my secondary screen, my hands shaking slightly. The location he's at now, there's a cave system there. It was sealed in 1956 after a group of spelunkers went missing. The Forest Service dynamited the entrance, and it's been marked as hazardous terrain ever since. He can't be there. That area's been sealed for 70 years. I could hear Cameron's breathing quicken on the line. The opening is bigger than I thought. It's really dark inside. Should I go in? Maybe there's a way down the mountain through here. Cameron, no. Do not enter that cave. Stay exactly where you are. But I'm so tired, and it's getting dark out here. If there's shelter inside... Cameron, listen to me. That cave is dangerous. It's been closed for decades. What are you talking about? It's wide open. I can see right inside. Wendy had pulled up the same historical records I was looking at. Her face had gone pale. Iris, there were 4 spelunkers who entered that cave system in 1956. The Forest Service sealed it after they found the first 2 bodies. The other 2 were never recovered. Floyd's voice crackled over the radio. Dispatch, we're approaching the sealed cave location now. We should be there in 10 minutes. Cameron, I need you to describe the cave entrance. What do you see? It's just an opening, dark. The rocks around it are sort of red, with white streaks. There's something written on one of the rocks near the entrance. Looks old. Can't quite make it out. Do not go inside. Do you understand me? Stay outside the cave. Okay. I'll stay here. But Iris, I'm scared. Where is the rescue team? Why is this taking so long? They're almost there. Just a few more minutes. But when I looked at my screen, his coordinates had shifted again. 200 meters west, into the mountain. Cameron? Cameron, are you still there? Static on the line. Then his voice, distant and echoing. Iris, I don't know what happened. I'm inside the cave. I didn't walk in. I was just standing there. And then I was here. Get out. Get out of the cave right now. I can't see the entrance anymore. It's too dark. My phone light is barely working. Wait, there's something else here. Oh God. The line went dead. Floyd's voice came over the radio seconds later. Dispatch, we've reached the sealed cave location. The entrance is still collapsed. No sign of recent disturbance. The rockfall is covered in lichen and vegetation growth. This has been sealed solid for decades. My hands were shaking as I tried to call Cameron back. It went straight to voicemail. Floyd, he was inside. He said he was inside the cave. Iris, that's impossible. The entrance is completely blocked. There's no way anyone could get in there. But when Wendy refreshed the GPS one final time, Cameron's last known coordinates placed him 70 meters inside the mountain in a section of the cave system that had been sealed since 1956. The official report stated that Cameron Bright had likely suffered from altitude sickness and disorientation, possibly falling into a ravine or slot canyon that wasn't visible from the air during the helicopter search the next day. His phone was never recovered. His body was never found. But I pulled the records from 1956. The 4 spelunkers who entered that cave had radioed back to their base camp for hours, describing how they kept moving deeper into the cave system even though they were trying to head back to the entrance. They reported that the passages kept shifting, that they'd arrive at chambers they'd already passed through but couldn't backtrack the same way they'd come. The last radio transmission from them mentioned seeing fresh footprints in the cave, dust footprints that couldn't belong to any of them. The 2 bodies that were recovered showed no signs of injury or starvation. They'd only been in the cave for 6 hours. But the autopsies noted something strange. The victims' watches had stopped at different times, hours apart. even though they'd been together the entire time. I don't take calls from the Sandia Mountains anymore. I requested a transfer to urban-only dispatch. They granted it without questions. But sometimes I think about Cameron Bright and about those spelunkers from 1956, and I wonder if they're all still in there, walking westward through passages that shift and change, following coordinates that move exactly 200 meters at a time, always deeper into the mountain, always farther from any entrance that could let them out. And I wonder if someday another hiker will call from those mountains, and the GPS will show them moving westward, and whoever answers that call will hear the same fear in their voice that I heard in Cameron's. Because some places don't just trap you, they move you, step by impossible step, into spaces that should have stayed sealed. Sometimes, the ground beneath a city remembers things the city itself has forgotten. I'm Vincent Rourke, and I've been a 911 dispatcher for the city of Duluth for 11 years. I work out of the Public Safety Building downtown, a blocky concrete structure that sits a few blocks up from Lake Superior's shoreline. Duluth clings to the steep hillside that rises from the lake, a city built on layers, literally. Below the streets and buildings lie the remnants of what came before: old foundations, forgotten utility tunnels, and the sealed-off entrances to mines that once burrowed deep into the red rock beneath the city. The iron ore mining boom ended decades ago, but the city's bones remember. Every few years, a sinkhole opens up downtown where an old shaft has collapsed, or construction crews break through into a basement that doesn't appear on any modern maps. The city engineer's office keeps historical records of the mine systems, but they're incomplete. Many of the smaller operations never filed proper surveys, and when the industry collapsed, the tunnels were simply abandoned or flooded. Most of my calls are routine for a Port City bar fights near Canal Park, domestic disputes in the hillside neighborhoods, car accidents on the icy streets that wind up from the lake. Winter here is brutal, with lake-effect snow that can bury the city overnight. But even in December, when the temperature drops below zero and the wind off Superior cuts like a blade, construction continues. The city never really stops building. On a Thursday evening in early December of 2024, I was 3 hours into my overnight shift when I received a call that would make me question everything I thought I knew about the ground beneath this city. The call came in at 11:43 p.m. from a cell phone with a local area code. 911. What's your emergency? We're trapped. The tunnel collapsed. We need help. Male voice, panicked, breathing hard. Background noise of someone else shouting. Okay, slow down. Where are you? What tunnel? The construction tunnel, near the old warehouse district. 5th Avenue West, I think. We were doing foundation work, and the whole thing came down. There's 3 of us trapped. I pulled up the city permit system, searching for active construction on 5th Avenue West. What's your name? Gary Sutton. I'm the site foreman. We've got maybe 20 feet of rock between us and the surface, but I don't know if it's stable. My guys are hurt. Gary, I'm Vincent. I'm getting help to you right now. Can you tell me the exact address of the site? It's the old Halverson warehouse. They're converting it to condos. We were reinforcing the foundation when we broke through into this older tunnel system. Then everything just came down. I was already routing the call to Fire Chief Ramona Vickers while simultaneously searching the permit database. No active construction permits for the Halverson warehouse. The building had been slated for renovation, but the permits were still pending approval. No work should have been happening there. Gary, I'm not showing any active construction permits for that location. Who authorized the work? What? We've been here for 3 weeks. The permits must be in the system somewhere. Look, we don't have time for this. My guys need medical attention. I understand. Help is on the way. Stay calm. How many people are trapped with you? 2 others, Blake Hendricks and Tommy. I don't know Tommy's last name. He was a day laborer. Blake's got a broken leg, I think. Tommy's unconscious. I could hear someone moaning in the background, and the sound of water dripping. Chief Vickers came on the radio channel. Dispatch, this is Engine 7. What's the location? Chief, reported tunnel collapse at the old Halverson warehouse, 5th Avenue West. 3 trapped workers. I'm trying to get exact coordinates now. Copy. We're 10 minutes out. I stayed on the line with Gary. Gary, I need you to describe your surroundings. What can you see? It's dark, really dark. Our work lights are buried under the rubble. I've got my phone flashlight, but the battery's at 20%. We're in some kind of old tunnel. The walls are rough-cut rock, not modern concrete. There's old equipment down here, rail tracks, mining carts. This looks really old. A cold feeling settled in my chest. Gary, are you sure you broke through into this tunnel? You didn't enter through another opening? We definitely broke through. We were excavating for the foundation supports, and the rock face just gave way. We fell through into this space. But Vincent, this doesn't make sense. This tunnel looks ancient. There's no way this is part of the warehouse foundation. I pulled up the historical mining records on my second screen while keeping Gary on the line. The Halverson warehouse had been built in 1912, but the land beneath it had a different history. According to the old surveys, the area had been part of the Northern Star copper mining operation, active from 1896 to 1927. The mine had suffered a catastrophic flooding incident in April of 1927 when workers accidentally breached an underground aquifer. 3 men died in the initial flood. The mine was immediately sealed, and the tunnels were left to fill with groundwater. Gary, listen to me carefully. I need you to move away from any standing water. The area you're in may have been part of an old flooded mine system. Flooded? But we're dry here. Well, there's some water dripping, but the tunnel isn't flooded. That didn't make sense. The Northern Star mine should have been completely submerged for nearly a century. I flagged Hugh Carver, the city engineer, for an emergency consultation and patched him into the call. Mr. Sutton, this is Hugh Carver with the city engineer's office. Can you estimate how deep underground you are? Maybe 40 feet? We were working in the warehouse basement when we broke through. And you're saying the tunnel system is dry? Mostly. There's water running down one wall, like a slow leak, but we're not flooded. Hugh's voice was tense. Mr. Sutton, according to our records, that entire mine system was flooded in 1927. If you're in the Northern Star tunnels, you should be underwater. Well, we're not. We're in a dry tunnel with old mining equipment. And Gary's voice cut off abruptly. Gary? Gary, are you there? When he came back on, his voice had changed. Higher, more frightened. Vincent, there's something else down here. We just found. Blake, shine your light over here. Oh my God. What is it? What did you find? There's a side passage, and there are lunch boxes here. Modern lunch boxes. Like someone's been eating down here recently. The food isn't even moldy yet. Chief Vickers radioed in. Dispatch, we're at the Halverson warehouse. The building is locked and there's no sign of construction activity. No equipment, no site office, no disturbance to the foundation. Are you sure about this location? I felt ice in my veins. Gary, Chief Vickers is at the warehouse. She's not seeing any evidence of construction. Are you certain about your location? Yes, we're directly under the warehouse. We've been working here for 3 weeks. How can she not see our equipment? Mr. Sutton, Hugh Carver broke in, can you describe the mining equipment you're seeing? Specifically, are there any company markings or dates? Hold on. Sounds of movement, labored breathing. Okay, there's a mining cart here. It's got a number painted on the side NS47, and there's a board nailed to the wall. It's got writing on it. Looks like shift notes. The last entry says April 7th, 1927. Hugh made a sharp sound. That's the day of the flood. Mr. Sutton, you need to get out of there immediately. Find any opening you can and move toward it. We can't. The collapse blocked the only way we came in. We're sealed in here. I could hear Blake Hendricks screaming in the background now. Gary's voice became distant as he called to him. Blake, calm down. Blake, what's wrong? Then Blake's voice, raw with terror, came through clearly. The water, Gary, the water! It's coming through the walls! The sound of rushing water erupted over the line. Gary was shouting, Vincent, the tunnel's flooding! The walls are just pouring water. It's coming in so fast. Gary, move to higher ground. Find any elevated area. There is no higher ground. It's already up to our knees. Tommy's still unconscious. We're trying to lift him. Blake, help me. Vincent, you have to get us out. Chief Vickers' voice came urgently over the radio. Dispatch, we're breaching the warehouse now. We'll try to access the basement. Hurry! I could hear the water roaring through Gary's phone. It's up to our waist now. Blake's screaming about something in the water. Blake, there's nothing there, it's just debris. Vincent, it's so cold. The water's freezing. Gary, stay on the line. Help is coming. We're swimming now, looking for any air pocket. Tommy's gone. The water took him. Blake's, a gurgling sound. Can't keep my phone up. Water's to my chin. Gary! His voice was barely a whisper. The phone mostly submerged. Vincent, this is the Northern Star Mine, isn't it? We're not supposed to be here. This place has been underwater for... How long did you say? Gary, save your breath. Keep your head up. The lunchboxes. They had names on them. Vincent, one of them had my name on it. The water sounds became overwhelming. Then there was a final bubbling gasp, and the line went dead. Chief Vickers and her team broke into the Halvorson warehouse basement. They found old storage rooms, dusty and undisturbed. No construction equipment. No broken wall where workers might have breached into a mine tunnel. The basement floor was solid concrete, poured in 1953 according to building records. The city engineer's office sent a ground-penetrating radar team to scan beneath the warehouse. They confirmed that the flooded tunnels of the Northern Star Mine ran 40 feet below the building, exactly as the historical records indicated. The tunnels had been completely submerged since 1927. We never found Gary Sutton, Blake Hendricks, or anyone named Tommy. No one by those names had construction licenses in Minnesota. No families came forward looking for them. The cell phone number Gary called from wasn't registered to any carrier. But 3 days later, a city maintenance crew was inspecting a storm drain near 5th Avenue West when they found something wedged in the grating. A lunchbox. Modern, insulated, with a name written in permanent marker on the side. Gary Sutton. Inside was a half-eaten sandwich, still fresh, and a work permit for the Halvorson warehouse renovation, dated December of 2024. The permit had been approved by city officials, stamped and signed. But when we checked with the city permit office, they had no record of it in their system. I transferred to day shift after that. I couldn't handle the late calls anymore, couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere beneath the city, in tunnels that have been underwater for nearly a century, people are still working, still trapped, still calling for help that never comes. And sometimes I wonder if the Northern Star Mine ever truly flooded or if it just shifted, slipped out of the present somehow, taking everyone inside with it, leaving them to repeat the same day, the same disaster, over and over. Because when I listen to the recording of Gary's call, right before the water takes him, I can hear other voices in the background, dozens of them, all calling for help, all saying the same thing, the tunnel's flooding. And they've been saying it for 97 years. The worst calls aren't the ones where you can hear someone dying, they're the ones where you realize the caller knows exactly where you are. I'm Tessa Goodwin, and I've been a 911 dispatcher for Portland Police Bureau for 5 years. I work out of the Consolidated Dispatch Center in Southeast Portland, handling emergency calls for a city that never quite sleeps. Portland sprawls across both sides of the Willamette River, a patchwork of neighborhoods ranging from the upscale hills of the west side to the dense residential blocks of the east. After 5 years, I can identify most areas of the city by sound alone. The Max light rail announcements in downtown, the foghorns from the industrial waterfront, the distinctive echo of traffic under the Burnside Bridge. My shifts run 4 10-hour days, Tuesday through Friday. Usually, the evening rotation from 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. It's busy, but manageable. Lots of mental health crisis calls, noise complaints from neighbors in apartment buildings, traffic accidents on the rain-slicked streets. Portland drivers can't handle wet pavement, even though it rains here 8 months out of the year. I live alone in a small apartment in the Richmond neighborhood, a quiet area of craftsman houses and tree-lined streets about 20 blocks east of the river. The work requires a certain detachment. You hear people at their worst, scared, hurt, angry, dying. You can't take it home with you or you'll burn out within a year. So I keep my work life and personal life separate. Different phones, different routines. At work, I'm calm, professional, efficient. At home, I'm just someone who likes to read mystery novels and tends to her 3 houseplants that somehow keep surviving despite my travel schedule. On a Tuesday evening in late October of 2024, that separation began to collapse. The call came in at 8:37 p.m. from a cell phone with a 503 area code. 911, what's your emergency? I need to report suspicious activity. Male voice. Calm, but concerned. Mid-30s, maybe. There's someone outside my apartment building. They've been standing across the street for the past 20 minutes, just watching the windows. What's your location, sir? Southeast Division Street. I'm in the apartment complex near 32nd Avenue. Standard suspicious person call. I pulled up the map and started entering the information. Can you describe the person you're seeing? It's hard to tell from up here. Average height, wearing dark clothes, but they keep looking up at the building like they're watching a specific window. It's making me uncomfortable. Have they approached the building or tried to enter? No, they're just standing there. But I wanted to call it in because, he paused, because I can hear the Max train announcement from here, the one at the 39th Avenue stop. It just went by. I was entering notes when something made me stop. I could hear a Max announcement in the background of his call. The automated voice saying, 39th Avenue, doors closing. And I could hear the exact same announcement through my open dispatch center window. The 39th Avenue Max stop was 4 blocks from the dispatch center. I live near 37th and Division. The caller was describing my neighborhood, maybe even my street. Sir, what's your name? Andrew Falmouth. Mr. Falmouth, which direction is the person facing? Can you see what they're looking at? They're looking at the upper floors. I'm on the 3rd floor, but I don't think they're watching my window. I think they're watching the building across the street. The older brick complex with the blue trim. My apartment building, blue trim, 3 stories, directly across from the newer complex on Division. Mr. Falmouth, can you still see this person? Yes, they're still there, just standing under the street light. Wait, they're looking at their phone now, like they're texting someone. My personal phone, sitting on my desk, next to my dispatch console, lit up with a text message from an unknown number. She can't see me from where she's sitting. My hands went cold. I muted my mic and looked at my supervisor, Priya Mehta, across the room. She was handling another call. I unmuted. Mr. Falmouth, I'm going to transfer you to a patrol unit. They'll send someone to check out the area. Thank you. I just thought someone should know. It's probably nothing but better safe than sorry, right? Absolutely. Someone will be there soon. I disconnected and immediately pulled the call recording, checking the background sounds. The Max announcement was clear. The ambient noise matched my neighborhood perfectly. The specific echo of traffic on Division, the distant sound of the food cart pod on 32nd, and underneath it all, something else. Something that made my chest tighten. I could hear my own voice, tinny and distant, like someone was playing back a recording, my voice saying, 911, what's your emergency? But delayed, like an echo arriving seconds late. I sent a patrol unit to check the area around my apartment building. They found no one matching the description, no suspicious person, no one loitering. I filed the call under my case notes, but didn't mention the text message to my supervisor. I told myself it was a coincidence. Portland has 500,000 people. Someone could have been describing any apartment complex in the city. But the next night, Wednesday, I received another call from Andrew Falmouth. This time I was at a coffee shop on Hawthorne Boulevard during my dinner break, sitting in a back corner with my laptop, reviewing call logs. The cafe was busy, full of students from Reed College and neighborhood regulars. 911, what's your emergency? It's Andrew Falmouth again. I'm calling about that suspicious person from last night. Mr. Falmouth, what's your location? I'm at a coffee shop on Hawthorne, near 34th. I came here after work, and I saw them again, the same person, standing outside, looking in through the window. My blood turned to ice. I was on Hawthorne near 34th. I slowly turned my head to look at the front windows of the cafe. Through the glass, across the street under a bus shelter, I could see a figure in dark clothes, average height, facing the cafe windows, facing me. Mr. Falmouth, can you describe what you're seeing right now? They're just standing there, like they're waiting for someone. But they keep looking at the window. I'm in the back of the cafe, so I don't think they're looking at me. But it's the same behavior as last night, just watching. What are you doing at this cafe, Mr. Falmouth? Working on my laptop. I come here a few times a week. The Wi-Fi is good. I was working on my laptop, in the back of the cafe, a few times a week. Mr. Falmouth, where exactly are you sitting? Back corner, near the restrooms, table by the window. I like the natural light. I was sitting in the back corner, near the restrooms, table by the window. Can you describe what's on your table right now? My laptop, coffee mug, a notebook. Why? I looked at my own table. Laptop, coffee mug, my personal notebook where I tracked monthly expenses. Mr. Falmouth, what kind of laptop? MacBook Pro. Why are you asking me this? I had a MacBook Pro. What color is your coffee mug? It's white with a blue logo. The cafe's mug. Why does this matter? I stared at my white mug with the cafe's blue logo. My hands were shaking now. Mr. Falmouth, I'm going to ask you something important. Can you see yourself right now? If you look at the window's reflection? A pause. What kind of question is that? Please just answer. Yes. I can see my reflection in the window behind me. Describe what you're wearing. Another pause. Longer. When he spoke again, his voice had changed. Slower, more deliberate. I'm wearing a gray sweater, black jeans. I have dark blonde hair, kind of messy. I'm Tessa. Why am I describing you? He knew my name. I'd never given him my name. How do you know who I am? Because I'm looking at your reflection right now, and so are you. We're the same person, Tessa. I'm calling from your table, from your phone. You're talking to yourself. I hung up and grabbed my personal phone from my bag. I checked my call log. The last outgoing call was to 911, made 2 minutes ago from my own number. But I hadn't made that call. I'd received it. My dispatch phone rang again. Same number, Andrew Falmouth. I didn't answer. I shut down my laptop, grabbed my things, and left the cafe. The figure across the street was gone. I walked back to the dispatch center, my heart hammering, constantly checking over my shoulder. When I got back to my station, Priya was waiting. Tessa, we need to talk about these calls you've been receiving from Andrew Falmouth. You've been listening? All calls are recorded. I pulled the logs from last night and tonight. Tessa, there's something you need to see. She brought up the audio waveform analysis on her screen, the calls from Andrew Falmouth and my responses. But overlaid on the waveform was something else, a pattern. The caller's voice, Priya said quietly, has the same vocal signature as yours. Same pitch, same cadence, same speech patterns. The system flagged it as a possible spoofing attempt. But it's more than that. It's like someone took a recording of your voice and played it back with different words. That's impossible. I thought so too. But then I noticed something else. She pulled up a different screen. Every call from Andrew Falmouth comes from a different cell tower. Last night, Southeast Division. Tonight, Hawthorne. And each time, the tower location matches wherever you are when you receive the call. Not where the caller claims to be, where you actually are. You're saying the calls are coming from my location? I'm saying the calls are coming from you, Tessa. Somehow, you're calling yourself. Detective Omar Castillo was brought in the next day to investigate. He listened to the recordings, reviewed the tower data, interviewed me about my routine. He was professional, thorough, and clearly skeptical. Miss Goodwin, is there anyone who might want to harass you? An ex-partner? A disgruntled caller? Someone from your personal life? No, nothing like that. Any history of mental health issues? Sleep disorders? Dissociative episodes? No. The explanation that makes the most sense is that you're experiencing some kind of stress-related episode, making calls you don't remember making, creating a stalker scenario. It's not uncommon in high-stress jobs like dispatch. I'd recommend seeing a counselor. But that night, Thursday, I received another call. This time I was at home in my apartment. Doors locked, curtains drawn. 911. What's your emergency? Tessa, it's Andrew. I'm in your apartment. I'm watching you right now. I spun around. The apartment was empty. Kitchen, living room, bedroom, all clear. There's no one here. I'm in the reflection, Tessa. Look at the window. The dark glass. You can see me standing behind you. I looked at my window. The curtains were drawn, but there was a gap, and in the dark glass I could see the reflection of my living room. And standing behind my couch, barely visible in the dim reflection, was a figure. I whirled around. Nothing there. Looked back at the window. The figure remained in the reflection. What are you? I whispered. I'm where you're going to be, Andrew's voice said. And now it sounded exactly like my own voice, just slightly delayed. Every call you receive from me is from your future. 24 hours from now, you'll be making these calls. You'll be the one watching from the other side. And then someone else will be where you are now, receiving calls from you, trying to understand why they're being followed by themselves. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to. It just is. Tomorrow night, at this exact time, you'll place the first call. You won't remember it, but you'll do it. And the person you call will be the next Tessa, and she'll receive calls from the Tessa after her. We're all stuck in the same loop, all calling backwards, all trying to warn the previous version, but we can never change it. The figure in the reflection stepped closer. Look at the window, Tessa. Really look. I looked. The reflection showed my living room, but wrong somehow. The furniture was arranged differently. The walls were a different color. And the figure wasn't standing behind the couch anymore. It was standing exactly where I was standing, matching my posture, wearing my clothes. It was me. But the reflection version smiled, while my face remained frozen in horror. 24 hours, the voice said. Then you'll understand. I took Friday off sick. Detective Castillo filed a report recommending psychiatric evaluation. The calls stopped, but every night at 8:37 p.m., I find myself reaching for my phone, pulling up the keypad, my fingers moving to dial 911, and every time I stop myself. I force my hand away, but one night I won't stop. One night I'll make the call, and I'll hear my own voice answer, and I'll start describing what I see in the window, and the loop will continue. Priya transferred me to day shift. She didn't say why, but sometimes when she thinks I'm not looking, I catch her staring at me with an expression that's part pity, part fear, like she's waiting for me to disappear or to become someone else. I still live in my apartment on Division Street, but I've removed all the mirrors, covered all the reflective surfaces, because at night, in the dark glass, I can see figures standing in rooms that aren't quite my own, different furniture, different walls, all the other Tessas trapped in their own versions of this moment, all calling backwards through time, all trying to warn someone who can't be warned. And somewhere ahead of me, tomorrow's Tessa is already making the first call. Some emergencies don't end when the victims stop breathing, they just keep happening, over and over, in places where time forgot to move forward. I'm Rene Baptiste, and I've been a 911 dispatcher for East Baton Rouge Parish for 8 years. I work out of the Consolidated Emergency Communications Center on Mayflower Street, handling calls for the city and surrounding areas. Baton Rouge sits along a bend in the Mississippi River, a sprawling metro area where Interstate 10 cuts east-west through the heart of the city, carrying endless traffic between Texas and Florida. The highway is 6 lanes wide in most places, always busy, always dangerous, when the Louisiana heat makes the asphalt shimmer and drivers push 80 miles per hour like they're racing the Sunday. After 8 years, I've handled hundreds of accident calls on I-10, fender benders, rollovers, multi-car pileups during morning fog when you can't see more than 50 feet ahead. I've talked people through performing CPR on strangers, kept callers calm while they waited for help with gas leaking from crushed vehicles, listened to the last words of people who didn't make it. The interstate doesn't care about your plans or your family, or whether you were just going to work or coming home. It just takes. I work the overnight shift, midnight to 8 a.m., when the traffic thins out but the accidents somehow get worse. Drunk drivers, exhausted truckers, people who fall asleep at the wheel. The calls come in with that particular quality of shock that happens at 3 in the morning when the world is dark and empty and suddenly full of sirens and broken glass. On a Thursday morning in early November of 2024, I received a call that made me question whether the past ever really stays past, or if it just keeps repeating for those who can't escape it. The call came in at 2:41 a.m. from a cell phone with a 225 area code. 911. What's your emergency? There's been an accident, a bad one. Multiple vehicles on I-10 westbound, just past the Highland Road exit. The voice was male, young, speaking fast but clear. No slurring, no confusion. Adrenaline sharp. You need to send everyone. Ambulances, fire trucks, everything. Sir, are you involved in the accident, or are you witnessing it? I'm in it. My car got hit. There's a semi jackknifed across 3 lanes. Cars everywhere. People are screaming. There's smoke. I was already routing paramedics and state police to the location. What's your name? Tyler. Tyler Ashford. I'm in a blue Honda Civic, passenger side smashed in. I can't get my door open. Tyler, are you injured? My leg is pinned, and my head hit the window. There's blood, but I'm okay. But the car next to me, a silver SUV, the driver isn't moving. You need to send help, fast. Help is on the way. Stay on the line with me. Can you see how many vehicles are involved? At least 5, maybe 6. The semi crossed all the lanes. Cars hit it, then other cars hit them. It's bad, really bad. His description was precise, methodical, despite the panic in his voice. He gave me vehicle types, approximate positions, described a small fire starting under the hood of one car. Standard major accident call. Horrible, but routine, in the way all tragedies become routine when you handle them every night. Then he said something that made me pause. The exit sign is down. The Highland Road sign. It's lying across the shoulder. I can see it from here. I knew that stretch of I-10. There was no exit sign down. There had been some roadwork a few weeks back, but everything was finished. Tyler, are you sure about that? The sign is down? I'm looking right at it. Big green sign. Smashed. Must have been hit by the semi. Paramedic Scotty Dunn radioed in. Dispatch, we're approaching the Highland Road area. I'm not seeing any accident. Traffic is flowing normally. I keyed my mic. Unit 7, the caller reports a multi-vehicle accident with a jackknifed semi. He's describing significant damage and injuries. Dispatch, I'm at the location now. There's no accident here. No debris, no damage, no vehicles on the shoulder, nothing. Tyler was still on my line. Where are they? I can hear sirens, but I don't see them. Are they coming from the east? Tyler, emergency services are at the Highland Road exit. They're not seeing an accident scene. Can you give me more specific information about your location? I just told you. Westbound, past Highland Road. The semi is right in front of me. How can they not see it? Scotty came back on radio, confusion in his voice. Dispatch, I'm checking the roadway. There's some old staining on the pavement here. Looks like there might have been an accident at some point, but it's been cleaned up. This is weeks old. Something cold settled into my chest. Tyler, what's today's date? What? It's October 15th, Tuesday. Why does that matter? People are dying. Tyler, today is November 7th, Thursday. Silence on the line. Then, that's not possible. I was just at work. It's Tuesday night. I'm driving home from the refinery. I took the late shift. I pulled up accident reports while keeping him on the line. October 15th, 3 weeks ago. I-10 westbound near Highland Road. There it was. Multi-vehicle accident. 1 fatality. Blue Honda Civic. Driver's side impact. Victim, Tyler Ashford, age 29. Deceased at scene. Cause of death, blunt force trauma. Internal bleeding. Time of accident, 2:38 a.m. Tyler, I need you to listen to me very carefully. What's the last thing you remember before the accident? I was driving. Traffic was light. I was thinking about stopping for coffee. Then the semi came across the lanes. It happened so fast. Renee, why are you asking me this? I hadn't told him my name. My first name isn't standard in our dispatch protocol. We use last names only. But he knew it. How do you know my name? Because you answered when I called. 3 weeks ago. You were the dispatcher who took my call. Don't you remember? I pulled the call logs from October 15th. There had been a 911 call reporting the accident at 2:41 a.m., same time as the current call. But according to the records, the call had come from a witness, not from Tyler Ashford. The witness was a trucker who'd seen the accident happen. I had handled that call. I remembered it now, the trucker's gruff voice, the description of the semi losing control, the cars slamming together. But I had no memory of speaking to Tyler Ashford. No memory of a victim calling from inside the wreckage. Tyler, the records show you died at the scene. The impact was fatal. You died before the ambulances arrived. That's not true. I called you. I talked to you for almost 20 minutes while I waited for help. Don't you remember? You kept me calm. You told me about your daughter, how she was learning to play piano. You told me help was coming, that I just needed to hold on. I don't have a daughter. I've never been married, never had children. But even as I thought this, I felt a strange vertigo, like there was a version of myself that did have a daughter, that had told Tyler about her, that had stayed on the line with him while he died. I remember you saying goodbye, Tyler continued, his voice quieter now, right before I closed my eyes. You said, "Stay with me, Tyler," but I didn't stay. I couldn't. And now I'm here again, in the same moment, making the same call, and you don't remember any of it. Detective Jade Brennan had been monitoring the call. She came on the radio. Dispatch, what's the phone number this call is coming from? I read it off. She went silent for a moment, then came back with an edge in her voice I'd never heard before. "Renee, that number is registered to Tyler Ashford, but that phone was buried with him. I was at the funeral. Closed casket. His phone was in his pocket when they buried him at Roselawn Cemetery 11 days ago." Tyler's voice in my ear. I keep calling because I can't stop. Every night at 2:41 a.m., I'm back in the car. The semi comes across the lanes. I feel the impact. I call 911. Sometimes I get you, sometimes I get someone else. But it's always the same accident. I describe it, you send help, and they find nothing. Or they find the old scene, the one that already happened. Why? Why does this keep happening? Because I'm not the only one. There are others. I can hear them on the line sometimes, in the background. Other voices making other calls. All of us trapped in our accidents. All calling backwards through time to the moment right before we died. The highway remembers us. Every person who died on this stretch of road, we're all still there. Still calling. Still waiting for help that can't save us because we're already gone. I could hear them now, in the static behind his voice. Dozens of voices, maybe hundreds, all calling out locations, describing accidents, begging for help. A chorus of the dead, eternally reporting their own deaths, trapped in the last moments when they still believed they could be saved. "Tyler, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I couldn't help you. You did help me. You were kind. That's why I keep getting you when I call. We reach out to the people who showed us kindness in our last moments. But Renee, you need to understand something. I'm not calling from the past. I'm calling from right now. The accident is happening right now, in a place where October 15th never ended. And one day, when it's your time, you'll be here too. Everyone who drives this highway ends up here eventually. We're all just waiting for our turn." The phone company confirmed the call came from Tyler Ashford's number. The signal triangulated from I-10 near Highland Road. Detective Brennan obtained an exhumation order. When they opened the casket at Roselawn Cemetery, Tyler's body was intact, still in the suit his family had buried him in, but his phone was missing from his pocket, and his right hand, which had been folded across his chest during the funeral, was positioned differently, raised, as if holding something to his ear. The medical examiner noted that the body showed signs of fresh cellular activity, not decomposition, the opposite. As if some parts of him were still alive, still functioning, trapped in the moment of the accident. I don't work overnight dispatch anymore. I requested a transfer to daytime hours, but sometimes, when I'm driving home on I-10 late at night, my phone rings, unknown number, 225 area code. I never answer, but I can hear the voicemail. "This is Tyler Ashford, calling to report an accident on I-10 westbound, just past Highland Road. Multiple vehicles. Send help, please. I've been waiting so long." And behind his voice, that chorus. All the others who died on that highway, still calling, still describing their accidents with perfect clarity, still believing that this time someone will arrive in time to save them. The highway takes everyone eventually, and when it takes you, you never really leave. You just keep calling, over and over, reporting the same emergency, the one that already happened, the one that will keep happening forever, in the place where the dead phone lines connect to the living world. I drive a different route home now. Surface streets, no matter how long it takes, because I know that one day my car will betray me, will turn onto that highway without me choosing to, and I'll find myself approaching Highland Road at 2:38 a.m., and I'll see the semi crossing the lanes. And 3 weeks later, I'll make a call to myself, describing my own accident, hearing my own voice answering from a future where I'm still alive enough to listen, but not alive enough to help. The emergency has already happened. It's always already happened. We're all just waiting for the call. The most disturbing calls aren't the ones where you hear someone die. They're the ones that come from numbers that should never have been able to dial out in the first place. I'm Luther Pennington, and I've been a 911 dispatcher for the city of Syracuse for 7 years. I work out of the Public Safety Building on South State Street, handling emergency calls for a city that's seen better days. Syracuse sits in the snow belt of upstate New York, a former manufacturing hub that's been slowly hollowing out since the factories closed. The population has dropped by half since the 50s, leaving behind neighborhoods of empty houses, shuttered businesses, and infrastructure that's patched together with duct tape and prayers. The dispatch center operates 24/7, coordinating police, fire, and medical response across the city. We handle everything from noise complaints to shootings, from house fires to domestic violence calls. After 7 years, I can identify most neighborhoods by the background sounds alone: the train yard near Franklin Square, the hospital district around University Hill, the quieter residential streets of Strathmore, where you can hear the wind in the old trees. Winter hits Syracuse hard. Lake effect snow can dump 3 feet overnight, and the temperature stays below freezing from December through March. The city gets buried, and emergency response times triple when the roads are impassable. I work the overnight shift Tuesday through Saturday, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., when the call volume drops but the severity increases. Fewer calls, but more of them are life or death. On a Friday night in mid-January of 2025, during a snowstorm that had already dropped 18 inches, I received the first call from a number that would make me question everything I thought I understood about how phone systems work. The call came in at 11:47 p.m. from what my screen showed as a 919 area code. 911. What's your emergency? My husband is going to kill me. Female voice. Terrified. Whispering. He's breaking down the bedroom door. Please send someone. Ma'am? What's your address? 427 West Onondaga Street. Second floor apartment. Please hurry. I was already dispatching units. What's your name? Iris. Iris Wu. He has a gun. I can hear him loading it. Iris. Help is 3 minutes away. Is there another way out of the room? The window. But we're on the second floor. It's snowing so hard I can barely see. If I jump, I might break my leg. Stay on the line with me. Officers are coming. I could hear wood splintering in the background. A man's voice shouting. Then Iris screamed. The sound of a gunshot, sharp and clear. Then, silence. The line stayed connected for another 10 seconds before disconnecting. Officers arrived at 427 West Onondaga Street 4 minutes later. The second floor apartment was occupied, but the tenant was a single man named Kenneth Morrison, who'd been home all evening. No domestic dispute. No woman named Iris Wu. No gunshot. Morrison was confused and annoyed. Said his evening had been quiet until the police knocked on his door. I pulled the call recording and listened to it twice. Iris's voice was clear. The background sounds distinct. The gunshot was unmistakable. But the address had turned up nothing. Then, at 12:32 a.m., I received another call from the same number. Same 919 area code. 911. What's your emergency? My father collapsed. He's not breathing. I think he's having a heart attack. Male voice. Different from the previous caller. Younger, panicked. We need an ambulance right now. What's your address? 1502 South Salina Street. It's a house with a blue door. Please hurry. He's turning gray. I routed paramedics while keeping the caller on the line. What's your name, sir? Greg. Greg Talbot. My dad is 63. He's got a history of heart disease. I'm trying CPR, but I don't think I'm doing it right. Greg, I'm going to walk you through it. Is he on a hard surface? The kitchen floor. Should I keep going? Yes, keep compressions going. Paramedics are 4 minutes out. I heard Greg counting compressions, the sound of him breathing hard from the exertion. Then suddenly, his voice changed, became distant. Dad? Dad, can you hear me? Oh, thank God. He's breathing again. He's awake. The line disconnected. Paramedics arrived at 502 South Salina Street. The house had been vacant for 2 years. No blue door, the door was white and the paint was peeling. No one inside. No evidence of any medical emergency. I flagged my supervisor, Barbara Sloan. She listened to both call recordings with a deepening frown. This is the same number for both calls? Yes, 919 area code, which is Raleigh, North Carolina, but both addresses are here in Syracuse. Could be a spoofing situation, someone routing calls through a different number. Both calls resulted in legitimate emergencies being reported, but when we respond, there's nothing there. Different callers, different situations, same number. Let's see if it happens again before we escalate. At 1:59 a.m. it happened again. Same number. 911. What's your emergency? Fire. Oh God. The whole kitchen is on fire. We can't get out. Female voice. Different from Iris. Coughing, the sound of smoke alarms screaming in the background. We're trapped on the second floor. There's too much smoke. What's your address? 834 Butternut Street. The yellow duplex. There's 3 of us up here. The stairs are on fire. Ma'am, what's your name? Simone. Simone Harper. My kids are with me. They're only 6 and 8. We need help now. I could hear children crying. Simone shouting at them to stay low. The roar of flames. The heat was so intense, I could almost feel it through the phone. Fire department is on the way. Simone, can you get to a window? We're trying. The smoke is so thick. I can barely. She broke into violent coughing. I can see flames coming up the stairs. We're running out of time. Simone, stay with me. Break the window if you have to. Get air. The sound of glass breaking. Fresh air rushing in. Simone gasping. I broke it. The cold air feels so good, but it's a long drop. If we jump, the fire department is 1 minute away. Do you see them? No, I don't see anything. Just snow and darkness. Where are they? Then screaming. The roar of flames grew overwhelming. The line went dead. The fire department arrived at 834 Butternut Street to find a yellow duplex, exactly as described. But there was no fire, no smoke, no damage. The building was cold and dark and had been vacant for 3 months, according to the landlord, who arrived 20 minutes later with keys. No one named Simone Harper lived there. No one had lived there since October. Barbara pulled me off active calls and brought in Darnell Fox, our IT specialist who handles phone system issues. I need you to trace this number, she told him. Find out who owns it, what carrier it's using, everything. Darnell ran the number through every database we had access to. North American numbering plan, carrier lookup services, reverse phone directories. He spent 40 minutes typing and frowning at his screen before finally turning to us. This number doesn't exist. What do you mean it doesn't exist? We've received 3 calls from it. The area code 919 is real. It's Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. But this specific number, it was never assigned. According to the carrier databases, this number is in a reserved block that was never released for public use. It's like calling from a number that's still in the phone company's warehouse, waiting to be activated. Could it be a technical error? The system misreading the incoming number? That's what I thought at first, but I pulled the raw call logs from the carrier level. The number is showing up exactly the same at every point in the system. This is the number that called. But according to every official record, this number can't exist. Barbara exchanged a look with me. Luther, if another call comes in from this number, I want you to keep them on the line as long as possible. See if you can get any information about how they're calling. At 3:28 a.m., the 4th call arrived. Same number. 911. What's your emergency? But this time, no one spoke. Just silence. No background noise, no breathing. Complete dead air. Hello? This is 911. Can you hear me? Still nothing. I kept the line open, watching the call timer tick upward. 30 seconds. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Then, very faintly, I heard something. Not a voice. A sound like wind, or static, or something in between. And underneath it, so quiet, I almost missed it. Other voices. Distant, echoing, like hearing a conversation from another room through a wall. I heard Iris Wu, "Please send someone." I heard Greg Talbot, "He's not breathing." I heard Simone Harper, "We're trapped on the second floor." All three of them, speaking simultaneously, their words overlapping, creating a horrible chorus of panic and fear. And then other voices joined them. Dozens of voices. Hundreds. All calling for help. All describing emergencies. All layered on top of each other until it became a wall of sound. A collective scream of every emergency that had ever been called in. All happening at once. Luther. Barbara's hand on my shoulder making me jump. "Luther, you've been on that call for 18 minutes. Your hand is shaking. Disconnect it." I can hear them, all of them. They're all calling at once. There's no one there. It's just dead air. "No, listen." I tilted the headset so she could hear. She listened, her face going pale. Then she reached over and disconnected the call herself. Darnell ran a deeper analysis of the number. What he found made no sense according to the rules of how phone systems work. "The area code isn't 919, he said, pulling up data on his screen. "I mean, it displays as 919 on our system, but when I look at the raw binary data of the call routing, it's actually using a different code. One that doesn't exist in the North American numbering plan." "What code?" 999, which isn't used anywhere. North American area codes never use 9 as the first digit. It's literally impossible. But we're seeing it as 919. Because our system is trying to make sense of something it can't process. It's like the phone network is receiving a signal from outside the network, and it's translating it into the closest thing that makes sense. But the source, the actual origin of these calls, it's not coming from any phone system that exists. Barbara filed an incident report, but I could tell even she didn't know what to put in it. How do you document calls from numbers that can't exist? Reporting emergencies that already happened or never happened, coming from people who might not be real. I requested a transfer to day shift. They granted it without question. I haven't worked overnights since. But sometimes, late at night when I'm trying to sleep, I hear it. That wall of voices. All those emergencies happening simultaneously. All those people calling for help from a place outside the phone network. Outside normal reality. All of them trapped in their worst moments, calling forever, hoping someone will answer, someone will send help. And I wonder if those 3 calls I received, Iris, Greg, Simone, if those were real emergencies that happened somewhere else, some other city, some other time. If somehow their calls got routed through impossible numbers to reach me here in Syracuse. If there are countless emergencies happening in parallel worlds or parallel times, all of them calling out, and occasionally one of those calls bleeds through. The number still shows up in our system sometimes. Different dispatchers report receiving calls from it. Always dead air. Always that distant chorus of voices underneath. We've tried blocking it, but you can't block a number that doesn't exist. It just keeps calling, over and over, from nowhere and everywhere at once. And every time it rings, someone has to answer. Because somewhere, in some version of reality, those emergencies are real. Those people need help. And we're the only ones who can hear them calling.